Hi, Ken here. Again, America by Motorcycle. Not posted a video where I've spoken in a while, so I'm going to speak in this one. I got the Triumph Thunderbird back, as you can see here. Woohoo! Yes. And I got 2 new tires on it. I did an oil change. I put in a new battery and decided I need to take it out for a test ride. Make sure everything's working. All the nuts and bolts, I checked them, make sure everything's good in there. Changed about 4 of them myself and took it out. Beautiful area. And then all of a sudden, I'm in the town of Flippin. And guess what happens? Right after all that was done, I get rear-ended by a van. So, since I used to be a director of safety and security for 2 nonprofits for 14 years, let's go ahead and talk about it. Maybe the rest of us can learn a lesson. I'll say this though, I was legally and morally right, I guess for lack of a better word. I still could have done some things different or I wouldn't have had the incident. Anyways, I'm fine, and the bike, as you can see, is back out in good shape. So let's talk about it. Put on these 2 new tires on my bike, oil change, change a few bolts and nuts, and put in a brand new battery. And so I decided time to go ahead and just take it through its paces and see how it's doing. And I've had it here in Arkansas for a little while I was slowly working on it. I want to give a shout out to Next Level Power Sports and Mountain Home. They put on the new tires for me, and they also just didn't charge me for it. They not only washed the bike, which a lot of people do, but they waxed it and buffed out a couple of scratches. And they said just because I was a veteran, it was very nice of them. And they gave me a 15% discount because I was a vet. So that's pretty nice. So after getting the bike kind of roadworthy again, it needed an oil change. It had been, I think, a year when I last did it. Of course, then I had a garage to do it in, so that was nice. I went ahead and took it for a ride. So I go up by some of my favorite places and the roads I'm kind of used to. Up here, they have some, not as many straightaways, but a lot of twisties. And taking it through its paces, and I'm decided, okay, it's time to head home. Almost an hour riding, and I go through the town of Flippin. Now, Flippin's a pretty small town in my opinion. As far as I know, I think they got 2 stoplights. Went over the one and then went to the other. And in the other, there was this vehicle ahead of me. And it was at the stoplight. And there is another lane on my right. So we are in the left lane, the right, there's a right lane, and it's a mandatory turn into Murphy slash Walmart. And there's no car there. And this guy decides he's just going to go ahead. He's tired of waiting at the light, I guess, because it was a little long of a red light. And he just turns right in there. Well, I decide after sitting there, and I was thinking more like I'm in a car than I'm in a motorcycle. And I'll discuss that here in a second. So I go ahead and pull up to that light, to that light at the intersection there, and to wait until it turns green. Well, the car behind me turns out to be a van. It's been driven by an older gentleman. I say older. I'm almost 62, and he looked to be at least 10 to 20 years older than I. And I'm on the bike, and all of a sudden, bam, and I just get moved forward. I didn't lose balance. I was able to catch it. He wasn't going too fast, I don't think. Of course, I turned the bike off, got off of it, and he came out. Now, I want to say, I'm like anybody else. My adrenaline get going, I get mad, but I really do try to keep myself calm most of the time. I do attribute that to my religious beliefs and my martial arts. Try to keep myself centered. Don't get emotional. Let's see what's going on first. So I get out and I see this old man get out, and he is apologetic right away. He said, "I'm so sorry. I was looking at you and not the light because the light's still red." And he said, "And I saw you move forward, and I just moved forward and couldn't brake in time. I apologize." And I say, "Well, let me just take a look at it." And I said, "Do you mind if we just go ahead and wait till we can get safely into Murphy's, and then I can check the bike out?" And he goes, "Yes, yes, sir." So I wait. There's no car coming, so I make that ride as well. The one difference is that I got to get off the street, and I got to make the right or go through, but I don't know what kind of shape that bike is in. But I safely did it. Unlike the vehicle in front of me, I made sure there's no car coming. He just turned and went. It was amazing. I don't ever let your emotions allow you to avoid proper checks and do the right thing and safety look when you go. So I go there, he pulls up there, he comes out with his driver's license and his insurance. I get a picture of it. And I said, "Well, listen," I said, "I feel fine. Let me go ahead and check my bike out to make sure it's roadworthy. And then I said, then I'll go home, and then I can't do it tomorrow. Tomorrow I got to go to Russellville, but on Friday I'll inspect my bike, and if it's good, and we'll be fine. And he goes, okay, should I call my insurance company? I said, well, you're going to want to call them, let them know. And I said, and then we're kind of, he's wondering if you should call the law. Each state's different. There's no mandatory that you have to. Insurance companies typically want you to. But I told him, I said, well, your insurance company's going to say they'll want you to do that. However, they're going to cite you because you rear-ended me, and that is failure to stop. You followed too closely. So no matter what, more than likely they'll cite you because the insurance is going to want to know who's right and who's wrong. As long as you admit it to the insurance, you did that, and we can text it and also show that. Let me get your number. I'm fine, legally speaking, as long as you admit to it. He goes, oh, I admit to it. I'm so sorry. He was very, very nice old man. So I checked the bike. I took about 20 minutes. I checked the bike. Everything seems to be fine. Uh, and when I get home, I'll bend out the license plate. Uh, the Triumph Thunderbird is a bigger bike, and he wasn't going that fast. However, it still was a jolt. So I say, hey, everything appears to be fine. We had the exchange of information. We made our text. I just wanted something legally where he's admitting to it in the text. And then I ride home. And then that Friday, I would take about 4.5, 5 hours to thoroughly check the bike. Bike was fine. I tightened a couple things up just to make sure. Took a few things out, re-put it back in. It was fine. And then I test rode it, and it's worked great since. But I want to go over some things I could have done better. Now, legally, I'm in the right. He hit me. I'm at a stoplight. There's no question about that. And you could just say, practically, overall, I'm in the right. Uh, I'm the one at the stoplight. He's the one not paying attention by getting target fixation on me. He wasn't on his phone, but that happens. He's not looking at the light. He's looking at the driver. Uh, and and but you can be legally right. You can be practically or morally right in something, and you can end up with a broken bike in the hospital or worse yet, dead. So it doesn't help to go, well, I'm right if you're 6 feet in the grave or you now got to get a new motorcycle. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind a new motorcycle, but I like my Triumph Thunderbird Storm, so I don't necessarily want to get a new one that way. So what could I have done a little bit better? It's not saying it would avoid the incident altogether, but it might have helped. One, I shouldn't have moved up. Typically, I don't. When I'm in a bike, if the car right in front of me is at the intersection and they decide to turn or go through the light for some dumb reason, and that's happened. I've seen both that happen, by the way. I typically just stay there. I just wait for it to turn. Why do I do that? Well, I do that because that way I don't have to worry about the person in the back going forward and getting target fixation, not paying attention and rear ending me. I do it for that very reason. And I didn't do that this time. My recommendation is what I've recommended to riders all the time, and I didn't follow my own recommendation, is if there's a light and you are the second vehicle to that light, meaning there's another one, and for some reason that person decides to drive off and take a right, maybe it's a hard right, meaning they're already in that lane, or maybe it's an inappropriate right, like this one. He's in the left lane, decides to cut through. It's both of those have happened to me multiple times, or someone just decides, I'm going to run that red light. Don't go forward. Just wait for that light to change. It's already been triggered or it's already timed. It's going to change. That way, the person in the back doesn't have the target fixation. Because once you go forward, many of them are paying attention and they just go ahead and they go forward, assuming you're not going to stop. By the time they see you stop and react, it's too late. Like in this case, the guy reacted. He saw I stopped, but it was too late. He'd already had his momentum going, and he's a bigger vehicle than I am. Two, I recommend this. In this case, it helped, I think, with not having much damage, is that when you are in that lane and you are at a stoplight, either it's at a stoplight or a car in front of you, be a little bit off to the left or right, but not in the center. If you're in the center, you're going to get the full brunt of that vehicle behind you. That's not going to feel as good. That's where the center mass of all that force is going. But if you're off to the right or left, you won't get the full center weight of that mass. In speed and mass, there's power, okay? And we want to lessen the power, and the power is going to go forward at its heaviest point, and that's going to be the center because that's where the engine is. The engine is basically centered aligned. So I was lucky this time as I was a little bit on the right. So when it hit me, I didn't get the full brunt of it. And that probably helped that bike not getting damaged. It does not take a lot of force to take your bike and completely put it off a line, put it you even if it's the wheel and the brakes off a line, and all of a sudden you've got some sort of wobble there. You don't want any of that. So that probably helped a lot. And then three, when it happens, and if that happens, go ahead. And this is one thing I said I think I did do right. Just stay calm. Escalating a situation doesn't make it better. You may be mad on the inside, but don't show it on the outside. Just be calm. And four, it is always a good idea to go ahead and have the police respond. Now, I worked in law enforcement in the military for many, many years. I'm retired Master Sergeant, United States Air Force. I saw the guy was nice, and so I decided to take a different route. Being calm, being in many of these situations, I just needed him to admit fault somehow where I had it a record stamp. Verbally is not going to be good enough, right? So I said, we need to text this. And he did it with no problem. Uh, but most people probably won't be as cooperative and or since you didn't work in law enforcement, and for those who have will know what I mean, you you may not remember to do that step. You need the person to confess that they did this. All right. Uh, and that's why you bring law enforcement because they're able to come, go over it in the heat of all of it, and then write up the report. They may or may not cite. It depends on the locality, the county, the state. It's always the person who rear ends is always going to be in the wrong. But there could be discretion whether the police want to go ahead and cite that or not. They will do a report, but the main thing is that you get the report saying that the other person's at fault. So call and get the report. Um, the other thing is though they may cite the person, and that was where I was really worried. This person was so nice when he came out of that vehicle. He was concerned first for me. I am so sorry. Are you okay? And then is your bike okay? And I looked it over. I thought, do you mind? He followed me in there. He was so worried about me. He even on the phone after he admitted his fault, he for the next couple days said, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I'll be praying for you. Hope you're gonna be okay. Hope you wake up in the morning not stiff because that's usually when you wake up stiff, right? It's the next day." So I just thought, I don't want this guy to get a citation, not at his age. Uh, I think he learned his lesson. That's the other thing. I'm not a pound of flesh guy. Usually, I've had my moments, but to me, even when I was in law enforcement, I had what I call the attitude check. Is the person learning their lesson? And I think he learned his lesson. So those are just some things I want to cover. But the biggest thing is don't move forward. The light will turn, right? It's going to turn. And the other thing and that was my fault there as far as not legally, but it wasn't prudent. The second one is stay on the right or left side. Don't stay in the center mass. That one I did correctly. And I'm glad. It's probably the reason why the bike didn't sustain any damage. Besides the license plate got a little bent, I just bent it right back out. I'm fine with that. So, but if it was in the center, it might have happened. I went home and stretched that night really, really good. Took some ibuprofen, and the next day I woke up fine. So it was great. Any case, just a little bit of advice from America by Motorcycle. Things I could have done better, even if I am legally right in the actions I took. All right. Thank you. Have a great riding experience. Goodbye.